Hello there, we are live. It's Helen here from helenmartinonline.com. How are you going today? I hope you're well. If you are here with me live, say hello and tell me where you're coming in from. If you are watching the replay or catching the replay at some stage, just put the words down below replay and so I can say hello to you afterwards. Now, I've got a really interesting topic to talk to you about today, and you might, if you've seen the heading, you'll probably think, what has this got to do with building a business online? But the heading is, how do we beat the hormone that makes us fat, lazy, and unproductive? So this is what I want to talk about today, and why I want to talk about this today is, if any of you have watched a Facebook Live of mine before, or anything on my page, then you will know that I'm very big about mindset, personal development, those kind of things, because I have come to learn and know as a person trying to build a business online, myself, and being in the trenches myself, I can learn skills and I can get people to teach me what I need to do and the various skills. But unless I've got it going on myself and I believe in myself and I take the action that I need to take and I truly have sort of conviction that I can do what I want to do and I want to achieve what I want to achieve, then it just doesn't happen. So, I am a big believer in mindset. If you haven't listened to me live before, what I actually do is teach people how to build their business online. So things like social media branding, which I'm going to talk about this week, actually the whole branding piece, I'm going to get into that this week. So later Facebook Lives in this week. And lead generation and Facebook Lives, and how do you get traffic and how do you truly build a successful business online. But one thing that I also concentrate on is this mindset piece, personal development, etc., because it's just so important to your success. And what I'm talking about today is a big part of that. So there's something that happens often in our life that stops us from achieving what we want to achieve. Now, for you, that might be business. It might be growing your business the traditional way. It might be growing your business online. It might be being healthier. It might be losing weight. It might be having a better relationship with your partner, friends, family, whatever it is. There's a variety of different areas in our life that we want to do well in and we want to be successful in. But there are things that often stop us from achieving what we really want to achieve. And to go where we really want to go, the end result, we can't get there. Now, why don't we get there? So there's a few reasons for this, but one of them is that we get ourselves in a state of overwhelm. Now, I speak to people all the time that are trying to build their business online, or even trying to build their business in the traditional way, that get stuck in overwhelm. Now, why overwhelm sort of exists is you've got a lot of information, you know what you need to do, or you're trying to decipher through all the information of what you need to do, and it's all too much. It's basically information overload. The other side of that as well is self-sabotage, which a lot of people get themselves in this situation and don't know why. So what is self-sabotage? Anybody listening to this live, have you ever experienced self-sabotage? I know I have. Put down the number 1 below if you have. So self-sabotage is when conflict exists. So self-sabotage is something like, you know what you need to do, but there's something stopping you doing it. So you may have even had some success in your business. You may have even had, a beautiful relationship. You may have even made money previously. You may have even done really well in your business. You may have even lost a whole heap of weight, but then you put it all back on again because you've self-sabotaged yourself. Why? It's because there's a conflict. You know exactly what you need to do, but there's a conflict going on. So what's the conflict? It's your beliefs, it's your values, it's things like, I don't know whether I can really stick at this, I don't know whether I can truly be successful, I don't know whether I can truly make a lot of money. So there's a conflict going on, and that's why we self-sabotage. So whether it's self-sabotage or whether it's information overload, overwhelm, those kind of things. They result in something. So that something is stress. Now, stress triggers an actual biological, biochemical response, physical response in our body. Do you know what that is? Anyone know what that is? I can't see any comments today, so that's not really going to help me. But that kind of response is an increase in cortisol. Have you ever heard of that word before? Put down the number 2 down below if you've heard that word before. When we have an increase in cortisol, then it really has a huge physical effect on our body. Like your stress response is a raise in cortisol. Cortisol makes you fat. Cortisol makes you lazy. Cortisol makes your intelligence go down. Cortisol makes you make less rational decisions. So when you're in that heightened state and you have a physical response and you've triggered the cortisol to go up, then you are actually incapable of achieving the thing that you wanted to achieve in the first place. You are incapable of making rational decisions, really effective, rational decisions when you're in that state. So this state of overwhelm that we get in, or self-sabotage, that creates stress. Stress creates cortisol. Cortisol creates, really ineffective biological, physical responses in our body that work against us. So once again, they stop your body working properly. So it makes you put on weight. It actually, scientifically, they've proven when your cortisol, levels rise, that your IQ actually drops. It actually physically drops. So there's major physical reactions, biochemical reactions that happen in your body when you experience overwhelm, self-sabotage, stress. Stress will trigger this. While you are in that state, you are never going to achieve what you want to achieve. Now, we would all appreciate that stress is part of life. Stress is just something, some people are very good at managing it. Some people do meditation every day, yoga, relaxation techniques, walking. There's lots of things that you can do to bring down your levels of stress. But the one thing that I would encourage you to really take on board, if you really want to achieve things that you have not achieved before, if you are sitting in overwhelm in your business because you've got so much information coming at you that you don't know where to turn to next, you don't really know what action to take, those kind of things, then you need to have a different relationship with stress. Unless you can create a different relationship for yourself with stress, you are going to see a continual pattern in your life of the same things happening over and over and over again. Now that could be with, managing your weight, food, business, success, self-sabotage. Sometimes you achieve it and then it gets taken away from you again. You did well for a while and now you're not anymore. Relationships, do you keep getting into the same kind of relationships with people? Do you keep attracting the same kind of friends that use you? You are going to see the same pattern of pain and upset and frustration and anger unless you can create a different relationship with stress. Now, how the hell do we do that? Why you want to do that in the first place is that stress triggers that cortisol. So you don't want to do that. So the only way that you can lower those levels and not trigger it is to have a different relationship with stress. So number one, you have to take full responsibility for where you're at. Now I know that sounds easy on the surface, but it is so true. So if you're overwhelmed, if you have experienced self-sabotage, if you are seeing the same patterns in your life that have been there for years and years and years, it's now time to take responsibility. So how do we take responsibility? One, you create that level of awareness. Okay, I'm attracting the same kind of partners into my life. Or I am attracting self-sabotage. I'll do well initially, but then you have this conflict that I spoke about before, and you self-sabotage yourself. You've been on a diet, awesome, you've lost lots of weight, and then a year later you've put it all back on again. In your business, you did really well to start with, you had momentum and it was going really, really well, you got lots of customers and distributors or whatever if you're home, and if you're in a home-based business, that type of thing. But then, everyone fell away and whatever. We can't play the blame game. No one else can fix our life but ourselves. I know this is going pretty deep here today, but I hope you're following me, because unless we make these kind of changes in our life, we end up with the same anger, the same frustration, the same pain, the same lack of results, and the same self-sabotage relationship that we have with ourselves and our success in various ways. So the number one thing you need to do is take full responsibility for where you're at. What majority of people do is that they'll lay the blame game, even on things like time. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. Hey Charlie, how are you? It's somebody else's fault. My husband or my wife doesn't support me. I can't get to the gym because of this and that and whatever. Or I don't have time to spend on my business because of my other job that I've got, whatever. There's always, it's very, very easy to not take ultimate responsibility for any of that and just lay the blame game on all those things. Now, are those things relevant? Absolutely. Do they play a part in our life? Absolutely. But we can't get stuck there. If you get stuck there, nothing will ever change in your life. Your outcomes will never change. So full responsibility for where you are at, your time, your money, your relationships, all those kind of things. Full responsibility for that. So that's number one. That creates a level of awareness. When you have awareness of things, you've got the ability to change. Is anyone following me here? Please send me likes and loves if you can, if you're following what I'm saying here, because it is at a deeper level than what people are used to talking about. But why I'm passionate about this kind of stuff is because not many people are having these conversations, and your results won't change in your life until you take responsibility for these kind of things. So it's up to us to have that level of awareness. And when we do, the trick is to interrupt the pattern and intervene mindfully. So when we're stressed, our cortisol's rising, heartbeat's elevated, and it's working against us, even though you can't see that, outwardly, it's happening to you physically, internally. It's turning you inside out, and it's not working for you, it's working against you. So be aware of that when you're overwhelmed, you're stressed. Well, overwhelm is the stress is caused by the overwhelm. The self-sabotage causes stress, which then causes the physical biological responses that happen in our body, which will actually stop us from achieving the very things that we are striving for, that we've got overwhelmed in or self-sabotaged in the first place. I hope that sort of makes sense. So we've got to interrupt and intervene that thought pattern. So what happens when we feel stressed? Angry, frustrated, panicky, anxiety. What else do we feel? All those different things that when you feel stressed, whether that's anger or frustration or, that overwhelm, it's, those kind of feelings. So imagine if overwhelm was kicking in, stress, those kind of things, and you didn't feel those things, but you felt a sense of calmness, you recognized it, you intervened, and you moved straight into gratitude. Okay, now you're probably thinking, yeah, right, Helen, as if we can do that. You can train your thoughts and rewire your brain to move straight into gratitude instead of stress. If you interrupt your stress patterns, if you, intervene with those thought processes and not choose to be angry, upset, stressed, distressed, anxious, you can actually move away from the biological responses that are working against you to get where you want to go. I hope you're following me, because this is actually really powerful if you think about this and take it on board. If you change the meaning of stress, you change the molecules physically. Let me say that again. If you change the meaning of stress and how you react to it, you will change the molecules and the physical responses in your body. If you can move quickly out of anger, stress, anxiety, those kind of things, and quickly train your brain, rewire your molecules to think about gratitude, what you are grateful for, and own your stuff. Own it. It's no one else's problem, actions that have got you to where you are today. Own that. And own your relationship to stress. So when you can own your relationship to stress, you can minimize the overwhelm, you can minimize the self-sabotage, you can minimize the biological responses in your body. So therefore, you're not fighting against where it is you actually want to go. Unless you make these changes or try. I don't like the word try. When people say they try, I know it doesn't actually mean much. So don't use the word try. Just do it. Just start training your brain. But this takes time. You can't live a lifetime full of self-belief and patterns in your life and change it like that. It's just not going to happen. But if you can really make a conscious effort to have a different relationship with stress, recognize it as soon as it comes along. If you're in overwhelm, recognize it. Don't sit there. You can't wallow in it. You can't go, oh, I'm so overwhelmed, I can't move forward. I speak to people in the home-based business environment all the time about this. I'm so overwhelmed, I don't know what to do. Or building a home-based business online, there's a lot of moving parts and there's new technical skills that people need to learn. And I get overwhelmed and they don't do anything. When you sit in overwhelm, you do not make any progress, no matter what area of your life that is. So overwhelm, just taking it back to basics again, overwhelm creates stress. Stress has a biological, physical response in your body which triggers cortisol. Cortisol in your body makes you fat, lazy, unproductive, and lowers your IQ. So you are not in a rational state to make really good decisions about what it is you need to do to get where you need to go. So we need to change our relationship with stress, with overload. Firstly, we're taking full responsibility. Full responsibility. So, okay, I accept that whatever's happening is my doing, my thinking, my being. So how am I going to change that? I'm going to have a different relationship with stress. I'm going to intervene and I'm going to interrupt when I feel stressed, and I'm going to feel gratitude. I am choosing to choose gratitude. That makes sense? I'm not choosing. Please make no mistake. Everything you feel is a choice. You may not feel that way in life, but if you feel upset, you're choosing to. If you feel angry, you're choosing to. If you're feeling frustrated, you're choosing to. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you're choosing to. Make a better choice. I don't say this to lecture anybody. I have to lecture myself. I learned big lessons along the way with all this personal development mindset stuff, but honestly, when you grasp this and you can make small changes consistently, it truly changes your life. It changes the outcome of everything. You will have far better relationships with the people around you, your husband, your wife, your friends, your children, whoever. You will have far more success in your business when you can change your relationship with stress. It all results to how you interpret it and how you feel about it. But you've got to understand this physical response that happens that sometimes you have no control over, or you feel like you have no control over. When you change your relationship with stress, you do have control. I'll say it again, you change the meaning, you change the molecules. So you change the meaning of stress for you through what I just talked about before, and then you will change the molecules, the makeup, the physical reaction it has in your body. So I hope that made sense to any of you that are on live or you catch this on the replay. This, it's quite deep stuff, but if you can just make small changes, be aware of it, takes responsibility, take small changes but consistently, you have the power to not let something like cortisol make you fat, lazy and unproductive in your business. So don't stand for that. You're worth more than that. So take control, interrupt the pattern, intervene into your thought processes, take control, have a better relationship with stress, practice gratitude, and all those kind of things, when you implement them on an ongoing basis, will actually change the outcomes of your life. Very, very important. So if there were any comments today, I can't see them. Maybe you're just sitting back there sort of listening, taking it in. I don't know. If any of you have listened to this live and you got some value out of that, or you thought it was thought-provoking in any way, please put the number 3 down below just to give me some feedback that it made sense or it's way too much for you. I'm not sure. But I'll never stop talking about this stuff because it's too important into the person that you become in your life. We are born for greatness. Not a lot of people live greatness. So we've got to train ourselves to get back into that position that we can bring greatness to our life. So thank you very much for those that are listening or catching the replay. I do appreciate if you have listened to this. Now, just once a week I do that. I jump on and do something about personal development or mindset. The rest of the week I will be talking about business. So I'm going to be talking about branding this week. So tomorrow, if you jump on with me live, I'm going to be talking about branding basics. So if you're going to position yourself online and build yourself a really good business online, how do you brand yourself? Some of the basics that you need to grasp to do that really well. So I'll catch you tomorrow. Bye.